have you guys noticed a pattern or a trend of a human trafficker? So somebody who is doing it, what is a typical pattern? Are you noticing a consistency with a pattern, or is it just a criminal? That's all it is. They just kind of want to make money. Any kind of patterns you guys have found?
Yes. So we build our own software. We have our own data collection, and we have those patterns. We actually sit on top of the largest human trafficking database in existence, largest and cleanest. We've got over 70 law enforcement agencies around the United States that are all kind of working together on this database. And so what that means is we've been able to take this very clean data and start analyzing it for patterns. And now we're getting to the point where our software is actually just going to be able, it actually can bring human trafficking to our attention. So we know exactly how they work. And really their Achilles heel, I talk about this on other podcasts, and people say, well, Nic, how can you talk about what you're doing? Don't you need to be secret about it? Nope, I don't. Because if your business model is that you need to be secretive about something, well, that's not scalable, and that's not going to work. Human traffickers have to advertise. If customers want to find, a date for the night, so to speak, right? That usually the customers think it's prostitution, and they want to find that girl, they go to the internet. That's where this is all advertised. Because if they put the girl on the street, law enforcement can find it, right? Law enforcement has the right to go approach her and talk to her. She might rat the trafficker out. So it's a lot easier to keep her locked in a hotel room and advertise her online. And there's dozens of websites online. I mean, you could get to these websites if you know where you're going. This is not in the deep and dark web. This is the front-facing internet. The big famous one that everybody was aware of that the DOJ took down was Backpage.com. And so you go to those websites, you schedule a date with a girl. There's a human trafficker who's advertising that girl online, and the transaction happens. So that's the Achilles heel of the whole human trafficking market in the United States, is that it's predominantly online. And so if you're online, that means you're leaving a trail, and we're really good at chasing down those trails and seeing where they lead.
So I just looked at Backpage.com. Founder Michael Lacey. Who was Michael Lacey?
He is currently under house arrest. He was actually, so the Village Voice, which was a publication out of New York, right, from the 70s, I think. They had the back page, when the back page was, right, it was a lot of your prostitution, massage parlors, a lot of human trafficking. And then they took that back page of the newspaper and took it online and started selling $1 advertisements to people who were predominantly engaged in the commercial sex industry. And everybody, their whole C-suite was arrested. They all pled guilty. Michael
Including
Lacey,
himself?
no, Michael Lacey, and I can't remember the other founder's name off the top of my head, but they're fighting the charges because they're old, and they're going to come out of prison in a pine box if they get convicted, or should we say when they get convicted. So they are.
How did the law enforcement find out that Backpage was doing this behind closed doors?
DeliverFund decided to make Backpage our hobby.
So you did that. You went after Backpage, because I see 2018, and you've been around for 6 years. So
we were one of many members of a team. The real credit goes to federal law enforcement and actually Texas AG's office. They did a phenomenal job. There's some law enforcement in Arizona that was working the case as well. But when it came to kind of coordinating a lot of the intelligence work and passing that off, we did a lion's share of that for sure.
So Carl Ferrer, who was the CEO of Backpage, I believe that's the name you were trying to think about.
Yep.
Did they know that human trafficking was taking place, and they kind of looked the other way? Is that what the challenge was?
Yes, they absolutely did.
How did they know that? How did they know that?
Because it's egregious. I mean, and any person who was looking at what was happening on their platform, I mean, they knew what was happening. And the DOJ actually has communications. If you research the Backpage case, you'll find that's why they pled guilty, is because they were literally talking about it on their corporate communications. So they have the servers, they have everything that they were talking about, and they have them talking about the fact that they knew this was happening. And they were, let me give you an example of the kind of thing that was happening there. There was a 12-year-old girl who was advertised by a human trafficker on Backpage, right? So you could tell, and along with a photo, and he put her age as 12 years old. Well, Backpage's moderators changed the age to 18 and then let the ad go forward.
Come on.
Absolutely evil. I mean, just evil.
So I'm looking at alternative to Backpage. So I'm assuming you target Craigslist.com, OLX, Facebook, Kijiji, free ads. What are the websites you target that can do exactly what Backpage did?
So I'm not going to give the names of the websites that we target actively. These websites are very profitable, and I'm not interested in in that fight.
Yeah.
And more importantly, people who don't know where to go, telling them where to go. But there's about 32 sites right now that are the primary sites where the source data comes from, and we are actively we're actively collecting from all of those sites.
So let me ask you this: when you're dealing with a company that say they don't know that is taking place, and then they find out based on the proof you show, because I think your model isn't you go attack them. Your model is you go team up with the 70 or 60 law enforcement organization that you work with. You no longer kick the doors down. You give the intel to those to go kick the doors down. I think if after doing some research on your business model, that's your business model, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you find out a company that's a real company, they have somebody who's a human trafficker leveraging the clientele, the traffic that's coming to that website. Do you then contact them and have the business work with you to get more of that data for you to pass down to law enforcement? Like, do the companies now help become a teammate with you?
That's always the first. That's always the first place that we start. So we have very, very publicly recognizable partners, publicly traded companies that we work with to help them keep human traffickers off of their platform. But a lot of these websites, they specifically moved their business operations overseas into non-friendly, non-US or non-friendly, non-extradition U.S. countries, so that they're not subject to U.S. jurisdiction.
Guidelines.
That's kind of part of the problem.
So how do you battle that?
Right now, there's nothing we can really do on that. We have a way of diluting their market, which we don't talk about publicly, to make it so that it just complicates their business, right? It just makes it so that the trafficker can never quite get his product in front of the customer, and the customer can never quite find a real product. So we have ways of complicating that a little bit. But primarily, the way that we deal with that is by getting these human traffickers arrested, and that's one key thing that we need to focus on. Is in order to have a human trafficking victim, which is the reason we're doing this, right? Human traffickers are bad people. They're going to do bad things. There's nothing Nic can do about that. However, they're exploiting people. They're harming children, and so the reason that there are human trafficking victims is because there are human traffickers. So we don't need to spend all of our time focusing on rescuing victims. We need to focus on preventing victims by getting rid of human traffickers.
Makes sense.
I've not asked you this before, but I'm asking you right now, and hopefully you will do this as a valuetainer. Please share this video. Text it to people, hit the thumbs up button, share it whatever way you can for other people to see it, for the algorithms to be on our favor, because this is not a message about how you make millions, how you make billions, how you become successful. It's not entertainment. This is purely something that's about education and awareness. So I'm asking you, share it with any parent that you know and say, just watch this video, get a paper and pen out. You're going to want to pay attention to this one here.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.